Parents scold, kids falter, and learning takes a back seat. Have you experienced this? Let me tell you an incident that happened a couple of days back. Sakshi is a 15-year-old having problems with her electricity chapter in physics. Her dad, Sandesh, says, "All right, I will help you learn that." And the moment learning begins, a few minutes into it, there is screaming, shouting, and Sakshi is crying. And Sakshi's mother, Madhu, is sitting in her bedroom wondering, when is this ordeal going to end? I'm sure this is not new to many of you. So, what is the difference between you and your child? Well, for one, your kid is a Gen Z child. And when you are a Gen Z kid, that means that you respect your individuality. You do not expect your parents to scream and shout and speak at you in case there's something that you don't understand. You expect patience from them. And if you are a proactive child, as Sakshi was, then she expects the parent to acknowledge it. So, why is there such a huge gap between her dad, Sandesh, and herself? Well, parents are victims of their own past. Sandesh grew up with his dad screaming and shouting at him in case he was even 20 minutes late in coming home. His father never hesitated in reprimanding him, even in front of outsiders, guests, relatives. It was a norm. And Sandesh never really felt that it hurt his ego to the point where he needed to take it up with his father. Times have changed, and kids do not accept such kind of behavior. Getting reprimanded by her dad created anxiety which stemmed from fear within Sakshi's mind. So, what happens if you as a parent get angry at your child while teaching them? Well, learning is a higher order brain activity. And the moment fear takes over, fear is primeval. It belongs to the old part of the brain. It is a survival instinct. So the moment fear takes over, well, very naturally, then it's a fight or flight, provocation that drives Sakshi. So her heartbeat goes up, her blood pressure goes up, she starts, palpitations, sweating. And in that kind of a situation, the brain orders the nervous system to prepare to survive. And all higher order thinking comes to a halt. So, if her father is expecting her to come up with the right answers by screaming at her and shouting at her, well, that's not going to happen. Because, to be honest, since Sandesh was a person who was short-tempered and who very frequently exhibited that kind of a behavior with Sakshi while teaching her, Sakshi also had a kind of expectation. So even before the shouting actually started, she began to have a certain placebo kind of an effect, and anxiety had already begun. And the outcome resulted in Sakshi giving wrong answers. And what is Sandesh thinking in the meantime when all this is happening? Well, Sandesh thinks that Sakshi is insolent. She demonstrates the same behavior every time. She is not focused. She's careless. She lacks concentration. She doesn't want to put in the necessary effort that is required of her. She doesn't study hard enough. And, the list can go on and on. So, what should parents actually do if they really want to be good educators for their children? Well, for one, exhibit patience. Look at this entire event as an event that you would want to remember when your child grows up, and your child would want to remember as he or she grows up. Stop jumping into conclusions and branding your kids. That's not done. That's not fair. If your child is unable to do something, then create opportunities, make it simpler so that the child is able to respond actively. When they are fearful, they will not be able to enjoy the event at all. Next, acknowledge whatever effort the child is putting in. So, if the child is a proactive kid, acknowledge it instead of saying, "Oh, you never do what I ask you to do." As parents, it's just as important for you to continue to polish yourself to become better parents, just as much as you expect your kids to better themselves every day.